highlight your text and type
300.
But there's this guy on YouTube called hbomberguy, and I'd never really heard of him. Hold on, let me bring it over. Website. This. Yeah, no, we don't need to set up anything. Windows. There's this guy, hbomberguy, on YouTube, and he just put out this video last night. Sometime yesterday, 16 hours ago. How long ago was that? It was 16 hours ago. It was sometime yesterday, whatever. About plagiarism in YouTube, and I was gonna pull it up and we could watch it and talk about it because it goes into a few things. A mutual of mine who's in the Kind of Funny community, called his name's Mick. I'm blanking on nanosecond. Oh shit, what's his name? The nanobiologist. Apparently one of his pieces was plagiarized, and he didn't even know it until this video came out. And they talk about the plagiarism that happened at IGN a few years ago, but it's like there's so much. Jesus. It's a 4-hour video, 3 hours and 51-minute video on plagiarism and YouTube.
$37,000. Tell us the story briefly.
But I'm probably gonna. I'm not gonna watch the whole thing, and we can watch a little bit of it, but like. Oh, they start off with Philip Mewson. So maybe we'll look at this. I'm gonna pause the music. Can you guys hear me okay, by the way? I didn't sound check or anything. But hopefully everything you can still... Let me just pull it up on my iPad really quick just to make sure that I can hear it. But I want to make sure that you guys can hear it. Because I do want to watch this. We're not going to watch the whole thing on stream, obviously. You know, go to hbomberguy's YouTube channel and watch it so that it counts as a view for his channel, since it's his video. But I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet, and when I saw that it was 4 hours long, I was just like, there's no way in hell I'm going to watch this all in one go. Slumberjack, hello, thank you so much. I can hear you perfectly. Awesome.
in 1970 in Analog magazine.
But hopefully you can hear this too. Yeah, okay. But yeah, plagiarism. Obviously don't do it, but I'm very interested to hear what he has to say about Philip Mewson, because if you don't know what the situation was, basically a few years ago, Philip Mewson was an IGN editor, who I personally liked because he was hosting Nintendo Voice Chat, one of their podcasts. I still listen to it today, but he was a review editor over at IGN, and I don't remember who it was. But there was a whole issue over his Dead Cells. Oh, it was Boomstick Gaming. Had a Dead Cells review, and he made a post or an article or a video accusing IGN of plagiarizing his Dead Cells review. And it led to an investigation, and IGN discovered that the Dead Cells review that they had on their site was indeed plagiarizing Boomstick Gaming's review. And it led to a whole investigation into Philip Mewson's other work, and it turns out that he had plagiarized most of the stuff that he published on IGN. It led to like an internal investigation. Philip was fired basically on the spot. And they had to take down basically every single piece of work that Philip Mewson ever put out on IGN. Reviews had to be rewritten by other editors. And I don't know if he had any other work on there because I think he was mostly a reviews editor. I don't really know. But I remember being pretty upset about it because I liked Philip. So finding that out, and it was obviously everyone from IGN, you know, I was watching it on Twitter and everyone was fucking pissed at him, and it turned into a whole big thing. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to pull it back up.
Harlan Ellison and Ben Bova published the short story Brillo. Ellison's one of the most famous writers in history, but Bova's no slouch. He soon became editor of Analog, where he was beloved and won the Hugo Award for Best Professional Editor 6 times. This isn't one of his. He accepted this one on behalf of George R.R. Martin, whose career he started. George couldn't make it. He was running a chess tournament at the time. Writers used to have fun. Now we just complain about Twitter. On Twitter. Brillo was about the world's first robot police officer. His name's Brillo because Brillo pads are metal fuzz. That's pretty good. This is one of the earliest stories in fiction about a robot cop, a commonplace trope today, and soon in real life. It wasn't the first example. The most famous earlier one would be Isaac Asimov's Caves of Steel. Remember this, it will come up later. Ellison and Bova thought the idea had legs and decided to adapt it into a TV show. They pitched the idea to a few companies, including NBC, where an executive named Terry Keegan said no. They later showed Brillo to Paramount, where the head of development...
So is this just a collage of huge plagiarism stuff? Or plagiarism stories? YouTube content mills? The Legal Eagle debate? Wait, Legal Eagle? I've watched him before. Cave Story? Man, there's a lot in here.
Terry Keegan, he'd recently been hired there, said no. The same man passed on the same pitch twice at 2 companies. Clearly not a fan of the robot cop idea. 6 months later, Terry Keegan sold a show called Future Cop to ABC. It's a show about a robot cop.
He's an android.
Interesting.
The perfect cop.
Our boys realize they've been ripped off.
When I saw it, I wanted to file immediately. My attorney said, forget it, man. He said, 90% of all plagiarism suits, the plaintiff loses, kill you, you'll never work in this town again.
They spend years finding a lawyer willing to sue a giant television conglomerate, despite the cost and the possibility of being blacklisted from working in television.
There is an ad coming up, by the way.
Keegan claims he never read Brillo, an obvious lie. It was later discovered the memos proving he deliberately ripped them off had been burned. The jury found in favor of Ellison and Bova and awarded them $337,000 in damages, about $1.2 million today. Ellison used some of the money to put up a billboard across the street from the studio reading, "Writers, don't let them steal from you. Keep their hands out of your pockets." Or at least he said he was going to in interviews at the time, and later journalism claims it happened, but I can't find any pictures, which is a shame. Either way, they still made off with all that delicious money. Yum yum.
I've been waiting 4 years for this moment. 4 years to tell other writers they can fight him and beat him.
Okay.
So, what's all that about? Okay, you know that trick video essayists use where they open on a semi-related example that sets the stage for the wider topic?
Yes.
It's a classic, I do it all the time. I wanted to open on a recent example of a writer winning a plagiarism lawsuit and getting their day in court. But there isn't one. This ancient case, which took place over a decade before I, and statistically you, were even born, is still the best, most recent, and almost only example. Ellison and Bova are among the few writers to ever see financial compensation for their work being stolen.
So don't plagiarize. You're probably going to lose. So he pretty much goes right into the Philip Mewson thing that I was just talking about.
Testing 1, 2, 3. For the foreseeable future, if someone else on here steals your work for money, there's not much you can do except talk about it. A few years ago, I made a video with some examples of plagiarism and even covered a time I felt it happened to me. The guy in question, Lukey Poo, briefly posted a 10-minute response accusing me of overreacting before appearing to think better of the whole thing and deleting this along with the video copying me.
I watched your video, went through it piece by piece, and copied it because you're such an incredible YouTuber.
Thanks.
Sorry, I think there was an ad playing when I answered your question. Captain Everett, I don't know why you're asking so many questions. I don't know if you're actually interested in my answers or if you're just fucking with me, because that question makes no sense to me. What's the canopial master grate for the leopard spandel? I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Thanks, Luke. Apology accept.
I always love these YouTube documentaries that are longer than most movies. The people who make them are so impressive. It's impressive, but at the same time, being ADHD, I see a 3-hour-long video and I'm just like, I don't have the attention span to even start this video. But I saw that he was talking about Philip Mewson, so all of a sudden I'm just like, oh. See? That. I can barely take a 10-minute long video. Exactly. That's why I scroll on TikTok all the time. Everything's bite-sized. I can only handle so much. Unless I'm like super interested. That's why I like the podcasts I listen to, because, well, with a podcast I can be doing something else while listening. I don't have to just sit and listen. I just play Warframe while watching the super long ones. Yeah, I'll do that, or, well, not Warframe. I don't play Warframe. Or I've never actually played Warframe, but it's not like I don't like it. I just haven't played it. But I'll do that with Fortnite or Rocket League. And I'll just listen to a podcast while playing a game or while I'm doing chores. Or, yeah, one of these YouTube videos. I'll pull one of these up while I was, like, if I was working, which obviously I'm not right now.
He has since rebranded his channel, recognizing the irony in presenting himself as a literal piece of shit, but his videos are still awash with plagiarism accusations, ripping off other YouTubers for hours at a time now, the only new sections being stuff about how homophobia's fine. Maybe the rebrand was a little too soon, but no authority took Luke's video down. He could have left it up, and people often do. You can spend ages on a unique video with an original idea, and a way more popular guy can rip it off, along with its thumbnail, get a bajillion views, and rake in the cash.
Professional, hello. Welcome in. What's your face care routine? It looks amazing. Thank you. Soap. That's it. I wash my face with bar soap. That is it.
Ash, on YouTube, if you have an original idea,
I don't really do anything fancy.
It won't be yours for long. The fact I'm making this video during one of the biggest creative strikes in history isn't lost on me. Other people's hands have never before been this deep in the pockets of creators. We need Harlan Ellison's billboard now more
Which
than ever.
bar I need to
But
go
I
to
don't
for
know
this
how to
soap?
rent a billboard, and it sounds expensive. So instead, we're going to talk about plagiarism on YouTube, what exactly it is, why it's wrong, and the many unintended side effects. Only then can we begin to talk about what to do about it, or at least what I'm going to do to try to put some of it right.
Do you ever... How do you prevent soap getting in your... You close your eyes. Am I being punked right now? Why are you guys asking so many random questions? You just close your eyes. You don't go to a bar to get the soap. It's just bar soap. Like a bar of soap. And it's just, I don't know. You just go to a store, you buy soap that... It's like a soap bar. Like when you get like a bar of soap, like solid soap. Like it's not in a bottle, it's not a liquid soap. You buy them in little boxes. And it's just, it says that it's a body and facial soap. and you just lather it up and rub it on your face. Yeah. Yeah, like one of the mini cakes. Not a urinal cake though. Don't wash your face with a urinal cake, especially one that's already been used. I don't recommend that. Do you ever see that video of... Hold on. Speaking of that, have you ever seen that video of a dude who's like at a foreign... He's like in a foreign country at like a music festival or something. Hold on. Let me find it. And he thinks that the urinal... It's an outdoor urinal, so it's like... It just looks like a trough. Like a horse trough. But it's like at an outdoor festival, so it's just dudes peeing in a trough. But he thinks it's the sink. Hold on, let me find it. This. That totally reminded me of this. Hold on.
Het enige wat mij altijd ontzettend irriteert op een festival zijn de lange wachtrijen bij de wc.
Yeah, he's just some American dude in a foreign country. So she's obviously native.
Volgens mij is dit het mannengedeelte. Nee, je zou bijna denken dat je gewoon een biertje eruit kan scheppen.
Yeah, so you just pee in those.
Oh. Beetje...
Like, dude.
This isn't a urinal, is it?
I think it is, man. Wow. 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 Oké, even serieus.
Whoops.
Heel even wat vragen. Even voor de record. Is dit een pisbak? Ja. En serieus, wat hebben wij net gefilmd?
Vind je een beetje raar?
Oh, maar ik ben heel even sprakeloos. De beste man was zijn handen aan het wassen in een pisbak.
Well, I know that pishbak means urinal, I think. Do you know about Rapidite? No. I don't know what that is. Sorry, I'm scrolling back up for a second. Rapidite, it's just snip stuff, snap and swallow, and away you go. And surprise the family with the new you. What?
I'm going to use a few relatively well-known examples you might have heard of already, and some new ones I found just for this video.
All right, so he's going to start talking about the Philip Mewson thing.
So, let's start some fights. Part I. Philip.
Part I.
What's going on, everyone? Thanks for clicking on the video.
Philip Mewson was a YouTuber who reviewed Nintendo Switch games and accessories and talked about Nintendo-related news. His videos were surprisingly well edited, and by that I mean they used way too many fancy transitions. I mean, they're not even hard to do, you just drag and drop them on your timeline and what? But when he applied for a job at IGN, his obvious mastery of a plugin everyone else also has, and existing channel with a decent size led to him getting picked as their new Nintendo editor. On August 6th, 2018,
oh, that's right, he was a
his review
Nintendo
of Dead
editor.
Cells went up onto the official IGN YouTube channel. But then on August 7th, YouTuber BSG posted a video titled "IGN copied my Dead Cells review. What do I do?"
I remember
It
this
noted
happening.
Some similarities between Philip's reviews and his own, published in late July.
Dead Cells takes a progression of a Metroidvania and integrates it into this procedurally generated action roguelite.
It takes the progression system of a Metroidvania and transforms it into a procedurally generated action roguelite.
This combat system is fast, fluid, responsive, and one of the most rewarding.
Like, didn't even
representations
try
of
to
human
change it.
combat of the
He would
entire
throw in an
genre.
extra word
Fights
here
are
and there.
fast, fluid, responsive, and hands down one of the most gratifying representations of video game combat I've ever experienced.
Dead Cells figures out an intriguing way to have your roguelite and Metroidvania experience all in one by focusing on your failures and urging you to try something new.
Like, it was
each time.
bad.
Dead Cells strikes a perfect and engaging balance between the Metroidvania and roguelite experiences by focusing on your failures and urging you to experiment each time you do fail.
Dead Cells only falters slightly with some repetition setting in, especially on the early areas and during longer play sessions.
Dead Cells does falter slightly with some repetition, but it's only felt in its earlier areas and during the extended play sessions.
Speaking of repetition, oh my god, the review was taken down while IGN investigated the issue further, and then later that day confirmed he had been let go from the company. But was this the first time Philip had done this? Catching someone doing plagiarism is difficult. Someone has to notice the theft, which means having also seen the copied work. And if it's anything obscure, that's quite unlikely. If you catch someone plagiarizing...
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a high schooler trying to get away with plagiarism by changing 2 words. And I remember that because I didn't want to believe it at first, but then I watched the video and was just like, dude, didn't even try to change it. He straight up stole word for word and edited a few things here and there to make it sound a little different, but essentially says the exact same thing.
Once, chances are they rolled those dice a few times before and hadn't been unlucky yet. People started looking through his other reviews in case there was more. Over at Kotaku, Jason Schreier's article on the firing was updated to mention an anonymous tip, pointing out similarities between Philip's review of FIFA 18 on the Switch and the one on Nintendo Life by Chris Scullion. Philip's review was made for his personal channel before he was even hired at IGN.
So this is kind of going back into like he got caught with the Dead Cells review, but after he was caught, people were curious, was he doing this before? And sure enough, people noticed some pretty similar situations with basically all of the work he's ever done, and I think that led to IGN then having to remove basically all of Philip's work.
Would later post a video comparing his review
Like,
with
it was
Philip's, showing off
bad.
the many similarities, and I'll link that in the description. But I want to zoom in on my favorite example. Philip tries to hide what he's doing by changing words around, and he does it really badly. In his article, Chris says compared to the non-Switch versions, the graphics are a good deal less detailed. Here's Philip's version.
However, when you get up close and get a good look at some of the character models, it's pretty clear that they do have a good amount of less detail than the Xbox One and PS4 versions of the game do.
It's
a good amount of less detail.
That they do have.
It's pretty clear that they do have a good amount of less detail. That doesn't even sound proper. A good amount of less detail. I just don't like how that sentence sounds. Have you heard about Sprunk's grenade-shaped can? I can't say I have. I don't know who Sprunk is.
Have a good amount of less detail. No one would ever write that sentence on purpose. You only create that by trying to change something you stole. There's a great example here of the deeper problems that plagiarism can cause.
So he just made the exact same point I just made.
For example, here when he talks about the game's Women's League feature.
FIFA 18 comes with the standard tournament and kickoff modes, as well as the Women's League, which was officially introduced in FIFA 16.
There are no women's leagues in FIFA 18. There's women's football, but leagues are specific real-life organizations that do not exist in the game. Philip's plagiarism avoidance techniques caused him to reword a sentence so badly that he invented a feature that doesn't...
I'm not answering that. We're not doing that.
exist. While these discoveries were being made, Philip made the decision to record and post an infamous, quickly deleted video onto his channel entitled My Response. Not an apology, a response.
This is Kelp.
Yeah, I remember this happening too, because everyone was hoping he would like actually apologize, like a genuine apology, and it never came. He just kept making excuses about how under pressure he was, because like he wanted to work at IGN so bad, but you know, being able to get the questions today, I know. Like, I don't mind answering a bunch of questions, but I'd rather them be relevant to what we're talking about rather than what's my favorite porn category. I'm not going to answer that. That's kind of an inappropriate question to ask me right now. But yeah. But I remember this happening because the video was not an apology. He didn't even label it as an apology. It was just my response. And I watched it, not really knowing what to expect. And yeah, he basically just kind of goes on and on and on about how he just kind of cracked under pressure, being at IGN. But it's like, dude, you've been doing this since before IGN. What do you mean? But then it just like, oh yeah, I just deleted it. Yeah, I'm not answering that. That's TMI. Like, I don't care if other streamers do it. I don't feel comfortable doing it, especially in my own stream. Like, let's not do that, please. But yeah, I'll let him continue.
Philip denied everything, took no responsibility, and told numerous lies in this video. At the time, this was criticized heavily by everyone for obvious reasons. But looking back on it while trying to understand this kind of behavior, it's actually really useful. This is worth looking at in a discussion of plagiarism because by being so poorly thought out, it's actually a valuable insight into how people react when they're caught and the different ways they try to cover their ass. When someone more competent than Philip uses these techniques in a subtler way, we can recognize them for what they are. Thanks, Philip.
There were a lot of circumstances surrounding it, but at the end of the day, I was the editorial lead on it, so if anything, that makes it my responsibility.
He claims there was a complicated process to making the review with lots of circumstances. The point is to make you wonder what really happened, so you forget what happened. Another way of doing this is to be passive about the events, so it's almost like they happened to him instead of something he did.
Like I said, I take full responsibility for what happened with the Dead Cells review.
Philip doesn't say, I take responsibility for what I did with my review. He passively takes responsibility for what happened with the review. When someone tries to use language to imply what they did happened by magic, they make it pretty clear they're trying to deceive you.
I try to look at all resources that I have available to me before I start formulating my own critical opinions so that I can offer the most cohesive possible review. The bottom line is that what happened with the Dead Cells review was not at all intentional.
Even if whatever happened, it was an honest mistake of some kind. But the problem is,
That made me laugh when I heard that for the first time, because it was just like, dude, you straight up copied it word for word and then edited a few phrases like you were in high school copying someone's homework. Like, you made that video and that review for a mainstream global editorial team in entertainment, one of the biggest entertainment reviewer media sites in the world. Like, are you joking? Do I want to hear a joke? Sure. Please don't make me regret that.
Honest mistakes are easy to explain. Dishonest mistakes leave proof behind. Philip didn't unintentionally write a very similar review because he watched another one. He copied their words exactly and changed some of them to try to hide it. Hearing Philip try to pretend this isn't what he did means we're not just dealing with a plagiarist, we're dealing with a liar who has more to hide. Philip's next lie was he had nothing more to hide.
I was lucky enough to get noticed on IGN through my YouTube channel, which, if in case you're wondering, is in fact all of my own original work.
A truly amazing defense there. Even if it did happen, which it didn't, it only
Captain Everett,
happened.
I'm gonna time you out. You're timed out for 10 minutes. Like, if you want to be here, please read the room. I didn't want to answer your question about what my favorite porn type is. I don't want to hear a joke that kind of falls under the same category. So please, stop. This is your only warning. Like, it's fine if there's another channel or whatever. Like, sometimes I'm receptive to that, but I'm very clearly trying to communicate that I'm not in the mood for this. Like, this is your last warning. Stop it. If you bring up something like that again, I'm banning you. Like, this is not the time or place. If it was the time and place, I'd be receptive to it and it would be fine. I've said this multiple times already that I'm not in the mood for this. So please. Yeah.
Happen once, but the goal is to preserve what's left of your reputation by getting people to stop looking for more. This behavior goes hand in hand with a special anger directed at the people who are looking.
So you can keep looking, Kotaku, and please let me know if you find anything. Which, by the way, their news editor, Jason Schreier, tried to imply that my FIFA 18 review was also inauthentic by claiming that I copied it from Nintendo Life, and that's just so not the case. I mean, maybe...
Dude went out... He actually tried to go after Jason Schreier for lying. That was a dangerous move. Because... If you follow games media, you know who Jason Schreier is. And he's, like, one of the people most responsible for cracking, like, huge exposés at, toxic workplaces and game development. And he's very, very professional. Like, he's a big name. It's so small. Why would you try to make enemies like this? Oh, I know. And by this point, even, he was already screwed. Like, you don't work for IGN. And, like, you don't work for IGN and plagiarize. Like, that's just not... Like, if you work for a company like IGN and you plagiarize, you are going to get caught. Just like Philip did. And I don't know how this happened to begin with. There's going to be an ad in 5 minutes, by the way. Ads help me financially. And I need it right now, obviously. But if you're not subbed to me, an ad is going to play in about 5 minutes. If you are subbed to me or you have Twitch Turbo, you will not see it. If you are not subbed to me, consider subbing to me. It helps me financially. It's greatly appreciated. It's, of course, never required to be here. I appreciate you being here either way. If you have Amazon Prime, you can use that as a sort of free sub to me. I still get money for it, but you don't have to pay anything outside of what you already pay. But yeah, anyway. Just wanted to give that heads up. Slumberjack, thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, that was delayed. I saw it. I guess I saw it in the chat first. I might have to look at my things. No worries. Thank you for using your Prime sub. I appreciate it. But yeah, you don't work for a company like as big as IGN, and then plagiarize, because you're screwing over, you're essentially making a global brand look bad and unprofessional, and that is going to ruin your career. They will recover from it, as they did not long after, because they took down all of his work that the site had and fired him basically on the spot after a very swift investigation.
Maybe he was implying that if you have similar...
And yeah, like you said, Slumberjack, it's a small industry. Like, it's a big industry, but when you're in the industry, you realize how small it really is. And people talk, like people know you. Like it doesn't take long for people to get to know you because people go from place to place. You know, whatever the circumstances may be, whether it's layoffs or just want to go somewhere else, or you're bouncing from contract to contract or whatever. The industry's small. People know people, and if you screw people over, it's not going to be good for you. Like, that's just the way it is.
Really opinionated review,
especially when you're in
just plagiarizing, or maybe he's just trying to get as many clicks off of my name right now as possible, or maybe he just likes kicking people when they're down. I don't know. I mean, check it out for yourselves and you be the judge.
He's referring to how Jason updated his article to include that anonymous tip. Philip accuses him of deliberately attacking him for attention by reporting what he has done. The section about how absurd it is to suggest he copied Scullion's FIFA review is probably why Scullion made his video in the first place. It begins by showing this clip. Bit of an own goal there. By the way, Philip, that's a football pun. Philip is using the reporting on him as a bid to gain sympathy. Yeah, I did something bad, but really, the bad guys are the people trying to see what else I did. Not me, the guy who did all of it. This tactic takes a more direct form.
But one thing that I do know is that it's not very fun being the target of a gigantic lynch mob who wants nothing more than to feed into your destruction. The amount of hate and threats that I've been receiving on social media have been pretty staggering. And I get it. I mean, people are mad, and rightfully so. But it's one thing to go and harass me, berate me with hateful words and threats, and it's a whole other thing to look up my family members and spread hateful comments on their social media accounts. It's just not okay. I mean, not on any level.
Obviously, no one deserves to have their family members threatened over their plagiarism.
I will say that the people that like messaged his family members and like sent him death threats are like in the wrong. Like what he did was shitty, but that doesn't mean that he deserves to be threatened to be murdered or told to kill himself, to like kill himself or something like that. Like that's just wildly inappropriate no matter what someone does. Unless they murdered someone, like, but whatever. And either way, going after someone's family because of something that they did is really shitty. So I will defend that point every single time, but yeah. Ad's going to start in about 3 seconds.
And there is a valid conversation to be had here about how we treat...
And I'm just going to well, actually, well, no, we'll just keep going.
People who we believe to have done something wrong. And it's really unpleasant seeing someone try to weaponize that and use it as a shield against criticism. He just got done shit-talking a journalist and trying to make him the bad guy, and lying about the FIFA review. Scullion has spoken about receiving a lot of abuse from Philip's fans during this period as a direct result of Philip lying like this, another potential reason he had to make that video. If you talk about harassment without being cognizant of the harm you are causing to others right now, you clearly don't give a shit about the problem you just brought up. Philip really didn't help his case by making a Columbo villain bet you can't prove it speech. You can keep looking Kotaku was an especially silly thing to say, since obviously people did keep looking. Many more examples came to light. His Fire Emblem Warriors video was mostly reworded from one on Nintendo Wire.
Decimating mobs upon mobs of enemies with the simplest of combos.
Yeah, said Kotaku and other outlets. Challenge accepted.
Most flashiest? His Samus Returns review was stolen from Engadget, and his Bayonetta 2 review from Polygon, and Jason Schreier seemed weirdly invested in reporting on all of it. In several videos, Philip just copied text directly from Wikipedia or other related wikis.
Super Mario Odyssey's theme is highly focused on surprises and travel, and the developers incorporated many of their travel experiences around the world. For instance, elements of the Sand Kingdom were derived from Kenta Matakuro's experience during a trip to Mexico, and the Luncheon Kingdom's food aesthetics were inspired by Italy and other European countries. The developers recognized that when traveling to foreign countries, something that really has an impact is the different currencies.
All of my own original work.
On October 10th, the apology video disappeared, along with 901,000 views worth of other videos from Philip's channel. For a small YouTuber, this means a lot.
Why would you challenge people to find more when there's literally more, right?
This is actually
like, dude, like, you're digging your own grave at this point.
As much of the evidence as possible. Philip has successfully
like,
hidden the extent of what he actually stole in his...
Like, this guy, like, Philip is never going to have a career as an editor again after this. Like, you don't hear about him anymore. He's just kind of gone. I think he's posted like 1 or 2 videos since then. And I remember, oh my God, I remember the Twitter storm of, let me see if it's actually still up. I don't know if you guys remember this, but does he still post videos? I don't know if he does. No, not really. But I remember at some point he came back, his big comeback. How long ago was this? This was in 2018. Yeah, here's the apologies. Wait. No, those were the actual apologies. Hold on. I know that there was like a... I just remember after... How long ago was 2018? 5 years ago? I'm going too far back. It might not be here anymore. But he disappeared for a while, and then he came back to do a new Dead Cells review. Oh, here it is. A very honest and original Dead Cells review. So the Dead Cells review was the thing that got him caught at IGN. And he came back and just had this...
Everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at Dead Cells. What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to be taking a look...
He made another Dead Cells video. And I just remember everyone was fucking pissed.
At Dead Cells. When it comes to modern roguelike games, Dead Cells is on a whole other level of good. In fact, it's so good that the first time I tried reviewing it, it left me so speechless that I literally went looking for someone else's opinion to describe it. Philip, mute.
Within the first 30 seconds. Listen to how he phrases that.
First time I tried reviewing it, it left me so speechless that I literally went looking for someone else's opinion to describe it. Philip, mute.
And it's still up. Hi, Captain Everett. Welcome back. But yeah.
Philip Mewson.
He fucking milked it.
Such a pivotal role in the self-destruction of my career as a games journalist, by my own doings, of course, but I'm still coming back to it almost 2 years later because it's just that damn good. Now, I know this is gonna sound a little crazy, but
everyone was fucking pissed. Like, if we actually... I have no idea if he's actually going to talk about this or not, but before we get back to the video, hold on. Is he even on Twitter anymore? Yes. I don't know how much he actually talks, though. Yeah, he hasn't posted anything since 2021. But I remember he posted that video. How long ago was this? It was 3 years ago. So it would have been sometime in 2020. Yeah. Yeah, here it is. And even Ryan McCaffrey was just like, fuck off. Like, he was done. And he does not talk like that normally. Ryan's usually pretty professional and polite when he interacts, even on Twitter. So to get him to just straight up say fuck off without anything else, you could tell that it was bad. That was back as his apologies. So yeah, he posted the video. And this was the way he tweeted it. The internet, silence. Me, a very honest and original Dead Cells review. The fucking balls on this guy. Like... And then he just continued to milk people getting genuinely upset with him. I find it fascinating that people will denounce me publicly as a game reviewer, but then apologize for doing so and wish me the best of luck privately in my DMs. The bridge has... Yeah, like the last bit in this video where you said I don't know how much and more negativity I can take made me legit concerned for you, so I'm going against my instincts and replying to this to hope I can get through. I get that you want to come back to YouTube creation because you've got this channel and this following that you worked really hard for, but you have to understand the gravity of what you did is so massive that you don't just get to press the reset button and go back to normal. The bridge isn't burnt, and every time you resurface and try to come back, you're just inviting more negativity in your life. No amount of apologies or promises to do better will bring that bridge back. That said, there's got to be other avenues for you out there that don't involve being public internet persona. You're a really fucking good video editor. Everyone thinks so. Those are the skills you should be marketing right now. And there was just a lot of drama, sort of related to that. But
hear me out. There have been 2 massive updates to this game since it released, and the amount of added content almost makes it feel like a brand new game, or rather like a Dead Cells 1.5. So I thought I'd share my actual honest opinions about it this time and let you know what these updates are all about. Dead Cells really is one of the greatest action RPGs I've ever played, and with the addition of the rise, I mean, I honestly can't recommend this game enough. It's hands down the best roguelike game around, and it's available on pretty much every platform, including iOS and Android. And look,
I still haven't played this game.
The last person that anyone would ever expect to talk about this game. The stupid shit I pulled will forever remain the biggest regret of my life. And I know that no matter what I do to try and make amends, it'll probably never be enough for some people out there. I certainly can't promise you that I'll be able to stick around forever, because honestly, I don't know how much more negativity I can take, but I want to...
Yeah, and that's the thing that Mitchell Saltzman was talking about.
Try and do right by you guys one more time, and I can promise you one thing for sure. This review, and every review I create from here on out, will always be a very honest and original review. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.
No, I don't want to go to his channel. Like...
his YouTube videos.
Which eyes is your favorite? I don't know. I like my eyes, I guess.
Many of Philip's videos are now considered lost media, referenced in articles about the plagiarism or in videos showcasing it, but not as actual copies that you can watch. This is obviously no big loss, but it sucks for me that there's not many archived copies of some of these videos, because, like, now I have nothing to cut to as reference footage.
What? I want an AI girlfriend. Okay. I don't know what any of this has to do with this video and what we're talking about, Captain Everett, but you're kind of getting on my nerves. If you're not going to have anything to say that's related to what we're talking about, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't care about your AI girlfriend. Like, I don't know what's going on.
It's just, now I just have to stand on my set and talk to you. His article about Octopath Traveler is a fucking doozy. It steals a bunch of shit directly from Jeremy Parish's review at Polygon. And let me just say, buddy, if you can barely string a sentence together, people are gonna know something's up when you're suddenly using words like extrudes. When this was discovered, Parish tweeted, "Dang, I got extruded right into the middle of a scandal," which is probably the funniest thing to come out of all this. But that's not the only thing he stole for this one article. It also plagiarized one of his co-workers at IGN.
All right. You know what? You're done. Bye. Bye-bye.
Seth Macy's video review of the game made it in too. Here's some clips from Macy's video.
Both its battle system and aesthetics pay loving tribute to the Super NES era. While this isn't merely a modern retread of past classics, but a phenomenal homage with genuinely fresh ideas and a fantastically charming wrapper of old school meets new.
Rapper?
Especially shocked by this, it seems like. And it's not hard to imagine why. To take game criticism and writing original material seriously, only to have someone
old school meets new tread of past classics, but a phenomenal homage with genuinely fresh ideas and a fantastically charming wrapper of old school meets new.
Seth was especially shocked by this, it seems like. And it's not hard to imagine why. To take game criticism...
Oh, he's the one that said rapper. My bad.
...material seriously, only to have someone a cubicle over take a hatchet to your stuff and collect a paycheck for it is so deeply insulting. Things were bad enough that IGN pulled the plug on almost everything Philip ever made for the site just to be safe. Something I've never seen an organization have to do before. He even, and this is insane, did a video explaining the Nintendo Switch's HD Rumble feature, and his explanation is just stolen from a fucking NeoGAF post.
A normal rumble is just a motor which spins, creating a vibration, right? Well, HD Rumble uses linear actuators, similar to Apple's Taptic Engine, which is what they use for the new Force Touch stuff in the new iPhones and Apple Watches. See, I believe that these are different in that they are more likely weighted electromagnets.
You believe that? Holy shit. He copied some text from a forum directly into a script and just read it out. Why would you even do that? No, seriously, that's the question we're trying to explore here. Why do people plagiarize? Philip is a great help in finding answers to these questions, because 8 months after all of this died down, he released a second apology. Well, arguably his first, since he didn't really apologize in the first one, but still.
Yeah.
Hey everyone.
And that apology's still there.
Any excuses or to try and justify my actions. I'm only here to apologize to the people that I've wronged.
He says sorry directly to several of the people he copied from, but to avoid making himself look too bad, he doesn't mention the forum post, or the time he stole from someone else at IGN, or a bunch of the other places. He also doesn't apologize for denying everything, pretending it was an accident, or accusing specific journalists of being out to get him by reporting on it. I think this points to what this apology is actually about, which is appearing more humble and honest to try and repair his reputation. Admitting to the truly embarrassing stuff, or the dishonest shit he said when he was caught, would just make him seem disingenuous. It's hard to come off as honest if the apology includes lying to your face in the past. He wasn't done making excuses either. 2 days later, he uploaded a third apology.
Hey everyone.
I'm getting deja vu from these videos now. In this video, he tried to explain why he did all this. He had insecurities about the quality of his writing and his fear of disappointing people.
I felt pretty confident with my video editing skills and my abilities to create visually appealing content, but I wasn't always confident with my abilities as a writer. And when I got that big break with this awesome gaming company, my insecurities were amplified by like 10 million because the audience was bigger and the expectations were higher. I really wanted to do well, but I was also really scared of saying the wrong thing or putting out a bad review.
Now, maybe it's because he's lied before and still wasn't owning up to the extent of what he did, but I simply do not accept this as the reason. Lots of people have anxiety about their writing. In fact, I'd say most writers do. Not many of them handle it by stealing, so anxiety and pressure feel like an easy excuse. From seeing almost all of Philip's videos, I feel comfortable in calling myself a Philip scholar at this point, I can tell you for a fact that he is bad at making videos. He thinks cinematic transition packs equal good editing, which is the reddest possible flag, but even in terms of basic content, The videos are just bad. His earliest videos are just news about the then upcoming Nintendo Switch. Or stuff like the top 5 ways to play the Switch? A console that no one can play?
The single Joy-Con method. And it's probably going to be the least preferred way to play the Nintendo Switch.
When the Switch was out, he branched out into reviewing accessories like carrying cases and stuff, and doing unboxing videos. Some videos are just summarizing Nintendo press releases. This is the literal definition of content. It's like it got squeezed out of a Nintendo branded tube somewhere. It's the most how do you do fellow kids energy I've ever seen coming out of a 28-year-old man. So he started doing the most egregious audience growth tricks for dummies you can imagine, like constantly having giveaways for subscribers. Philip's following didn't grow organically from people liking him or his work. Those people don't exist. It grew from offering free shit if you subscribed. But I'm gonna give Philip some credit here and say at some point he recognized, correctly, that he didn't know what he was doing. I mean, if it's obvious to me watching them, it must have been obvious to him making them, right? So, what do you do if you know you won't get ahead without copying someone better? You copy someone better. And I'm not even talking about plagiarism here. Even the stuff that isn't stolen is derivative.
Stop being boring.
Excuse me.
We'll be right back. Very boring.
There's this one guy called Nihongo Gamer who's done some pretty useful tech reviews, and one of them was of an arcade fighting stick for the Switch. It did surprisingly well, and he gives it a proper workout as someone who clearly knows their stuff with fighting games. A few weeks later, Philip coincidentally decided to review the same thing. But Philip isn't a fighting game aficionado, so his live gameplay footage is him playing Sonic and, Mario Kart? Making this review functionally useless as a review of a controller made for fighting games, but Nihongo Gamer also in the same video reviewed this Switch holder that looks like a little arcade machine. Philip, coincidentally, is also reviewing one of these in his video.
This game is so much better now. This makes this game so much better.
This isn't even plagiarism, it's just strange. Philip didn't know how to build an identity of his own, so he just borrowed the style and content of successful videos in an extremely cynical way. He didn't make these videos for the fun of it, or because he cared about making them. It was always just about chasing success by any means necessary, and when that didn't work out, he just borrowed even more directly and got into this mess. In a fairly recent interview, he's described
I will say
himself
this.
period as having
I'm going to rewind just a little bit because I did start talking. I'm going to say this. When I first started YouTube, I thought, like, because I started making YouTube videos. Oh my God. When did I start making YouTube videos? I think in like 2016. I don't even remember now. It's like 2016 or 2015. Oh yeah, by the way, new video up. Part 7 of my Master Plan Tycoon playthrough just went up. First 5 minutes. Oh, that's embarrassing. Not really. I had only 244 subscribers. You usually don't see a whole lot of views right away. But that's okay. You gotta start somewhere. Yeah, my first video that I ever made was I shot this on my phone, and it's just my dog Ellie playing dead. But this was in when did I post this? 2016. September 12th, 2016.
Sit. Ellie, sit. No. Come here. Bang. Good girl.
Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, like when you, I know, I love that dog so much. She's 9.5 now. No, she's not. She's 9. She just turned 9 in September. Oh, so yeah, roughly 9.5 in a couple of months. She's an old lady. But yeah, when I first started YouTube, I didn't know how to fucking start. I just started making stuff, and I watched a video of Jacksepticeye showing his setup, his setup a while back. It was like one of his 2016 videos. And I had been thinking about making YouTube videos at that point for a while, but I didn't know how to start. And in that video, he pretty much wraps up just saying, like, you don't need any of this fancy equipment. Like, this is all, like, stuff that I've invested in like, you know, over the years. And he basically just said when he first started, he just had, like, a free version of OBS and just a shitty microphone. He didn't even own a microphone. He used, what was it? He had like a webcam that he clipped to his shirt to use the microphone on the webcam and recorded gameplay over that. Like, he didn't even have a microphone. So he literally just didn't even use the camera as a camera, just clipped the camera to his shirt to use as a microphone. And like, no, the videos did not sound good, and he even said, but that's okay. Just start. Like, you don't need fancy equipment. You don't need to sound perfect. You don't need to look perfect. Just start. And so I did, and that was kind of the result. But where I was going with this was, no one has an identity on YouTube when they first start. No one does. They start by mimicking or copying the people that inspired them to start in the first place. So I was making Let's Play videos. And, you know, if you are genuine in your attempt, then eventually you kind of find that identity, I guess. So it's like, when Philip started doing that, I guess I can relate in the sense that the only thing you know about YouTube is from the people that you watch, the people that inspired you to start in the first place. But when you only care about just mimicking them to ride off of that success, you're not being creative. You still have to be you, and I don't think he ever did that.
Any means necessary, and when that didn't work out, way. He didn't make these videos for the fun of it, or because he cared about making them. It was always just about chasing success by any means necessary, and when that didn't work out, he just borrowed even more directly and got into this mess. In a fairly recent interview, he's described himself during this period as having imposter syndrome. But that's wishful thinking, isn't it? There's a difference between having imposter syndrome and being an imposter. Objectively speaking, Philip pretended to be a reviewer and critic while actually just being a thief and a liar. But I think it's possible to reverse engineer this falsehood and arrive at its core truth. The explanation lies in a little thing he said in apology number 3. I consider it the most meaningful thing Philip has ever said. It's not true, but it's meaningful.
So I took from sources who I trusted and respected and I agreed with, and I tried to change them in a way that I would say it.
Philip claims he sought out reviews from other people he respected to steal and learn from. But, to be blunt, who the fuck is Boomstick Gaming? When this happened, Boomstick's channel had just over 10,000 subscribers. Barely anyone had any idea he existed. And look at the other places he copied from. Mostly random websites, niche gaming outlets, fucking forum posts. If you consider something so obscure you can get away with stealing it, you do not respect it. Philip copied these people because he thought what they were doing was beneath respect. Remember Caves of Steel? I told you it would come up again, you little bastard. You better not have forgotten. In the lawsuit between Ellison Dover and the studios, one tactic the studios used was to accuse them of being the real plagiarists, of ripping off Caves of Steel when they were writing Brillo. The problem is these writers were all friends who knew and respected each other, so they could ask Isaac Asimov what he thought of that.
So we went to New York. I've known Isaac for 25 years. And Isaac, in his deposition, said, I've known Harlan for 25 years. He said, you don't steal from your friends.
It all sounds so simple when Isaac Asimov says it. At the start, I briefly mentioned one of the many times someone's entire idea and thumbnail have been copied. The thief later flipped the thumbnail and changed the color of his shirt. Amazing. This guy's kinda notorious for stealing from people. And there was a really notable encounter where he made fun of a guy by joking about how many subscribers he had. This comes off as generic former Vine star narcissism, but it's difficult to ignore that he specifically steals from people he considers beneath him, having a lower number. If you're not as important, your ideas are up for grabs. In 2016, Melania Trump's speech at the Republican National Convention was found to
Oh, I
have
remember
plagiarized
this.
one of Michelle Obama's speeches at the Democratic National Convention. The audience hadn't seen a speech given at the other convention, so none of them noticed, but the media did later. The question going unasked at the time, at least for me, was, why Michelle Obama? Her speech about hope and dignity and respect and dreams had nothing to do with being a Republican. They hate that shit. Why didn't the writer rip off a Nancy Reagan speech about killing the poor or locking up black people for using the drugs her husband gave them? Well, plagiarizing another Republican would annoy Republicans, whose opinion the writer actually cares about. If you respect someone, or want their respect, you generally don't risk a fight with them by jacking their shit. But if you don't like someone, stealing is almost like getting one over on them, isn't it? No one was ever fired or seemingly punished in any way for stealing a speech and pretending they wrote it. And that's because none of these people give a shit about Michelle Obama. They're probably glad it happened. If you broke into Obama's house and stole some of his silverware, most speakers at this convention would pay you a cash prize. Plagiarism is an insult, and don't people love to insult their enemies? Here's something petty I should have forgotten about but didn't. When Lukey Poo made his short-lived video response, while defending himself on the grounds he actually got the idea from someone on Twitch who saw my video, and they're definitely real, he still took the time to explain that he also didn't like I criticized right-wing YouTubers he was a fan of.
I thought hbomber was a relatively decent video creator. I disagreed and didn't like some of the stuff he did, like when he went after Sargon of Akkad and some other YouTubers.
This sat with me. Why was it so important for him to signal his allegiances like this? I think the point was to make his theft an act in a larger culture war. Even if he did rip me off, I'm the bad guy. I don't deserve to be treated properly, so if anything, it's good if he did. You don't steal from your friends, you steal from the guy who made fun of Daddy.
At this point, I'm convinced the only thing hbomberguy needs more than a testosterone shot and some estrogen blockers is a lesson in humility.
Okay, where does, and I mean this as a compliment, the most fuckable twink I've ever seen in my life get off telling me how to manage my T levels? Is he speaking from experience? Philip pivoted when caught to attacking his accusers.
What was that comment even for?
Needs more than a testosterone shot and some estrogen blockers is a lesson in humility.
Okay, where does, and I mean this as
I feel like that's
the most
just
fuckable twink I've ever seen in my life get off telling me how to manage my T levels.
It's like the only insult that right-wing pundits have is insulting your testosterone levels.
Someone who has received the same treatment from someone like him. There's this indignation to it. I'm better than you. How dare you tell me not to steal? What's emerging here is a social element to theft. Plagiarists seem to have this belief they are better than their targets, more important, more deserving of credit, better politics, a better class of person. Your ideas are wasted on you. They'd be much better served in my videos. Other games people looked down on what Philip did with so much anger, and people from IGN continued to be aggressive at him for years afterwards.
Yeah, we saw that tweet.
Because they understand this instinctively. His actions essentially said out loud, he thinks games writing is so worthless, it's okay for him to steal it. The IGN crew are especially entitled to be angry about Philip though, because he did really damage their credibility. When your company produces plagiarized stuff, it damages people's faith in your institution and its ability to not do that, and it's really hard to get that goodwill back. This leads us, as all things do, to the Angry Video Game Nerd, Part E, Cinemassacre.
Alright. So yeah, that was the Philip thing. We spent about an hour and a half on a section that was barely 20 minutes long. A little more than 20 minutes long, but that was the thing I knew about. I don't really know the Angry Video Game Nerd that much. I don't know, maybe we'll watch more of this, but yeah, I did want to talk about that one. Nita, thank you so much for the hydrate. I should probably grab my water bottle. Yeah, there was actually more in his video. Again, this is oh shit, I forgot his name already. hbomberguy? hbomberguy. Go to his channel. I'm gonna actually subscribe to him. Obviously, this is not my video. This is hbomberguy's video. I do want to make that very clear in case any of this stuff goes up on YouTube, because I did add I did try to add to the conversation a little bit. But obviously go to hbomberguy and watch this video. I don't think I'm going to stream the whole video because kind of defeats the purpose of a plagiarism video about plagiarism. But yeah, some crazy shit. Oh, I wasn't even showing it. hbomberguy. But yeah. Whoops. Yeah, he did some really bad shit. As far as, oh, you know what? I'm gonna repeat this because for whatever reason it did not count up, or maybe this one didn't. Because 2 people subbed this, but the counter didn't go up for some reason. So I was just gonna refresh that. I don't know why the counter didn't go up. Is it because it's not active on the other scene? I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, a lot of stuff in that video. I don't know. Maybe we'll watch more of it tomorrow or something. But yeah. I'm gonna take a break for just a second. Actually, no, we're not gonna take a break. I'm gonna, throw on some music though. And give me 1 second. I'm gonna go grab my water bottle real fast.